Greetings. I'm Barbara Hanson. I often introduce myself as a retired United Church minister, and what I don't say is that I actually went into studies at 59 for 5 years. And part of my studies and part of my commitment was to go on a global experience that would be challenging for me. I chose Palestine, and I went to Hebron. I was part of a Christian peacemaker team, so that means was like an observer. And it gave me a chance to actually interact with Palestinians, to experience their lives as best as I could as an observer, but also to be seeing the abuse that people were experiencing from the IDF and from the settlers. It was hard. One of the responsibilities that we had was to be at a checkpoint. Now, checkpoints are set up to be intimidating. It's intentional. And so our role was to go to a checkpoint. We had to go through one to go to another. And it was to observe as children made their ways through checkpoints to go to school. This one morning, one of the guards yelled at us and he said, "Did you see that?" And I wondered, what had I missed? And he said they threw a stone. And moments later, a vehicle came careening around the corner, and out of that vehicle came 6 to 8 IDF members in full riot gear. Yeah, because a stone was thrown. I mean, it was one of those times where in my normal life I'd probably laugh, but somehow maybe that wasn't the appropriate reaction there, so I didn't. But it was hard for me to be seeing what children had to go through. And that same experience, right after the vehicle screeched to a halt, a young girl of about 8 or 10 came through the checkpoint. She paused. She looked at the vehicle. And then she walked around it and proceeded to go to school. And I could only wonder, what is this girl's life? What world does she live in? I am a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I absolutely love children. It's through children that I learn so much. They're wonderful teachers for us. They teach us compassion. They look at the world in ways that we keep learning and we can love and we can laugh. And I've also been an advocate for children, especially when it comes to adults, trying to give them a safe space and that kind of thing. So I wear this scarf, or stole, as some people might know, and it's got children from around the world on it. And it's my message to those who see it, that children are extremely important for our future. So I am quite saddened to know what the children of Gaza and the children of the West Bank are also experiencing. I was listening to the UNICEF spokesperson, James Elder, when he was still in Gaza. And his frustration and his anger were so evident. 7,000 children killed. This was not including the ones that are maimed, the ones that are separated from their families, the ones who have no family, the children that were in hiding and as a result could be killed, the ones in hospitals were still being attacked. There was no safe place. And hearing this man speak and his frustration and his anger was really catching. And I wonder, how is it that adults, including our politicians, all of whom were children at one time, many who are parents and aunties and uncles, how can they ignore these horrific numbers? Why can they not use all the power they have to bring about a permanent ceasefire? How is it that our country supplies military equipment to keep the Israelis going? Like, how can that be happening? We need to remember and acknowledge that we contribute to this genocide. James Elder also said, as the world celebrates Christmas, our attention is on love and goodwill. Meanwhile, the savagery will increase. So tomorrow is Christmas Eve, And I have to tell you, Christmas is my favorite time of year. It was. Because I absolutely love the story. The story, remember it's a story, a backwritten story of this little baby coming into earth, coming into this family, and a baby being honored, a baby who we know grew up into this adult Jesus, who preached peace and love and was working against occupation, was actually killed. He was crucified because he was resisting the powers. I'm also aware, if born today, there's no doubt in my mind that Jesus would be born under the rubble amid Israeli attacks. The Evangelical Lutheran Church in Bethlehem has a symbolic Jesus in a manger of rubble and destruction as a message of solidarity with those suffering in Gaza and the urgent need for a ceasefire. The pastor said, "It is impossible to rejoice this year when there is genocidal war against our people in Gaza." Please remember that as a European, I consider these my brothers and sisters. And how can this be happening? It's also important for me to acknowledge that the atrocities against children and those in the West Bank have also increased substantially, along with the war in Gaza. The news doesn't highlight this as much, but we know that so many children are being affected, so many families, so many places. So the patriarchs and heads of the churches in Jerusalem, they presented a statement on the celebration of Advent and Christmas in the midst of war. It was November 10th when they did this, so several weeks ago. Each year during the sacred season of Advent and Christmastide, our Christian communities throughout the Holy Land take a great delight in their preparations for the commemoration of the birth of Jesus. In addition to religious services, these celebrations have normally involved participation in numerous public festivities and a large-scale display of brightly lit and expensive decorations as a means of expressing our joy. But this is not normal times. Since the start of the war, there's been an atmosphere of sadness and pain. So the patriarchs and heads of the churches in Jerusalem called upon their congregation to stand strongly with those facing such afflictions by this year, foregoing any unnecessary festive activities. So the Canadian BDS, or Boycott, Divestment and Sanctions Coalition, urges all their supporters to heed the call from our Palestinian Christian brothers and sisters. We call on Canadian churches, Canadians of conscience, and all those who celebrate Christmas to show your solidarity with Palestinian Christians and all the Palestinian people, and to refrain from unnecessary festive activities, including exchanging consumerist gifts. We also ask our supporters to denounce the Israeli genocide against the Palestinian people and denounce all those who are enabling and directly participating in this genocide, including the Canadian Military Special Forces. So I close with a heart that cries and is broken, and I close with the words that we use for Advent, the Sundays leading up to Christmas. So even in my anger, may I hold on to the words: hope, peace, joy, and love. Thank you.